Welcome back, friends, to the ESL Pro League, where Misfits versus Luminosity is about to begin. Sorry, I was already thinking about all the Brazilian teams that we're going to have tonight. Obviously, Immortals and SK later on, but it's the other guys. It's Luminosity here first and foremost. So, Launders, we're going to kick it off on Train. Obviously, a big talking point was the performance of Shazam. DeBears saying that if he gets kills, they find wins. And he wasn't wrong.
He's 1 for 1.
He is, thus far. So we'll see, of course, if Misfits can hold things off again tonight. But you said a 2-0 LG. You want to further that prediction?
Yeah, I guess barring a performance like Shazam had yesterday, which you want to say he is a really, really good player, a world-class player, even as James mentioned, where he can perform versus really good teams. I wouldn't expect him to have a performance that good again, though maybe he will. I think that Luminosity were a lot more consistent. I think one of the my major concerns for Misfits is that just in general, they don't seem to play their anti-ecos very well. And that's something that doesn't have much to do with the map. It seems like they just have a bad philosophy moving into it. It seems like they get a little bit scared. They are relying too heavily on their defaults and are doing things almost individually to a certain extent, really hoping that the other team pushes or makes a mistake so they can get that first kill. And if they don't, they continually push until the point that someone gets killed who can't get traded. So if we see that trend keep up, I see Luminosity is much more consistent in that department, where yesterday they played such a solid Inferno. I guess that part just stuck out in my mind, it being the last map of the day as well. But how they were able to control themselves on anti-ecos, stay grouped, keep it simple, play off fundamentals, and if you lose an eco round and that forces you to double save, that's more than a tragedy, right? That's a free round that turns into 3 lost.
Yeah. So we'll see if they can obviously dodge that. The one thing that I still have a question mark above Luminosity for is that obviously we watched them play versus SK yesterday. Cobblestone was a dumpster through and through. They just were unable to handle SK on the T side, which is fair enough. We're talking about SK in the end. But then once we swapped over to Inferno, we had this gentleman right here, Nekis, just go above and beyond. I mean, on that first half, 161.6 ADR, that's an incredible performance through and through. And that's the kind of performance that again, comparable to, say, Shazam on Train yesterday, is it replicatable? Is he going to be able to do that a second time? Because while they definitely were utilizing some structure and proper CS to that T-half, conditioning SK to play reserved, conditioning them to respond to that B-bomb site, if he's not going off in that kind of a manner, then I can't help but feel like it's not going to be able to happen a second time.
Now, the second half was shorter, but NECA's got 22, 24 kills maybe in that first half, and then ended up either getting 6 or 8 kills in the second. So on CT side, even though the map went 26 rounds in total, really didn't do much on CT. And that, being a one-half player is not a good sign.
No, not by all means. But then again, of course, for those of you guys who didn't catch that game, Luminosity also were hard reset following every single CT round that they were able to win. So I can't help but feel like his opportunity for success was very well curbed by SK. They got their legs underneath them at the end of the half, and they do what SK does best, ultimately close out games and make those comebacks happen. So it's still going to be versus Misfits here tonight, and I think that one of the conversation points that's kind of interesting for them is this fact that they get to start off their season versus the best team in this division, SK. They actually put up a thought-inducing performance. It makes us give them the time of day, really give them an actual consideration. And now they get to come in versus a team like Misfits, who, as you alluded to, will sometimes make mistakes, who do sometimes go absent from time to time. And so I think that this is really their game to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just kind of hoping that they do capitalize on those errors, on those anti-ecos, but at the same time hoping that Misfits has kind of figured it out, though I don't think this is a one-day problem. They've had a problem with anti-ecos for a long time, for whatever reason, and it is kind of hard to put your finger on it and really say this is what needs to change specifically, but I think we saw a consistent trend of just not grouping, and that's basically it. So maybe there is something they can do to do a complete 180 between yesterday and today, and at least they'll be able to play up against a different team with a new style, and we'll have some more data to gather, make some better assumptions.
Yeah, by all means. One thing that I kind of want to play into the hands of Shazam, at least coming back onto Train, is that I feel that although Train itself is always going to be that opping paradise, to me he's just a player who on an individual level can always perform on this map. It just seems like, you know, there are certain players when playing certain maps that they're able to tap their potential more often than not, and I have taken note that Shazam on Train is one of those players. Now again, obviously it helps when he is the opper of the team and when he does have this world-class, you know, capability, but that's something that I'm going to be looking forward to. I think that if there's any performance that won't be doubled from yesterday, it might be Devadovic. Devadovic, throughout the past, you know, he hasn't been able to consistently put up those kills despite the praise coming in from multiple top-tier players. And while he is capable of doing it, as seen yesterday, I think if any of those two players are going to go disappearing, it's going to be him more often than not.
Shazam's a pretty antsy player, and he'll look for fights in many different angles within a round.
Yeah.
And Train is a lot more friendly to that than a map like Inferno, where if you decide you want to juggle back to B, that's going to be a 10 to 12 second rotation from spawn to spawn, or through the spawn, excuse me, and that means that you can only do that so many times around. In Train, you can be on the bomb train and be in B in a matter of 5 seconds, which is a giant difference. And it also allows you to take a shot in one place, move to the other with no intention of actually fighting outside, but simply making your presence known.
So without further ado, here we have it. The third match day of Season 6, the ESL Pro League. Misfits versus Luminosity Gaming to start things off, and it is Train. 3 players from LG already to the bottom of ladder. What kind of crazy setup is this?
We see them just walking past these halls, and obviously Nekis is doing a couple of jobs here, just making sure that no one comes out T-Con, while they have 2 players to make sure they can trade on anyone dropping into the site. They also have a fast flank right now as 3 go up the ladder. Showtime, 2 nice headshots, however.
It's not going to be able to stop the bomb, but it does at least take that 2-man advantage. Sick, watching his flanks, able to catch 1 kill, and Nekis can't trade just yet. PKL finds 1 more, and now 6 down. The entirety of Misfits are dead, and Luminosity find their opening pistol.
For Misfits, they understand that coming down that ramp does allow them to get headshotted by somebody like Showtime, who's sitting up here. And this is the kind of play that you would expect if you played this position, but you're also kind of hedging your bets being this far back and hoping that you can get some damage off, but mostly relay that information to your team and then fall back to the back lanes and try to take fights safely while your teammates rotate in to help you. And instead, he gets 2 kills. So worst case scenario for Misfits. And were they able to even get the bomb down in that situation? I don't think so. Which is going to have an effect on their economy. We don't see a lot of armor being bought.
No, although we do see a bunch of Deagles. Devadovic is dead. Molotov burns Sick into the open, so he's dealt with, but Shazam's at least got some kind of a trade here. So we've already found some damage dealt, and Amanek's going to double into this, finding a kill of his own and taking this back to the 3 versus 3. Now Showtime spots Shaz on the cross, deals with him quite swiftly, and the rest of these terrorists are just filtering forward. Bomb's been dropped in the process, so Amanek needs to come up big, and that's just too much to ask for. Misfits with a smidgen of success, but Luminosity convert their pistol.
Happy to do the damage and get those couple of kills. Obviously, PKL loses a trade that he probably shouldn't have, but he only had a UMP, and it's not going to be the biggest loss of investment in the world. Round 3, Misfits going to be buying up AKs and a Galil on Devadovic, as well as plenty of nades, lots of smokes, enough for any really good execute that they might need for outer or inner. A couple of players moving towards and through the brown halls. Well, they just set up in a default, no attention given to Ivy, except by Luminosity, who have decided to look for a pick there. And again, just trading spam damage, holding on to whatever free map control they feel like they deserve as terrorists.
No presence towards Ivy whatsoever here from the T side. Just kind of keeping it honest, but looks as though they're going to set their grenades into that A site.
Now with 3 smoke, or 4 actually, that can do anything. Sandwich 3 for the site, where they like to do a back IV smoke, but I don't know if there was a man in brown house to throw that. That might be Amanek. Actually, the only one without a smoke.
Makes sense. Luminosity already pushed up to the side of the ladder room. So they're going to have 2 players already on the front side of these smokes. That is a massive blanket of cover here for the T side to try and push in with. 6 able to open up with a frag right away, and the Frenchmen double in with one of their own. Nekes reveals himself and finds the head of Sick, but then he's immediately traded back, and Misfits are immediately on the board. Great execution, near flawless.
So difficult sometimes to understand what happens on an outside hit like that, but basically we see a lot of Luminosity's players were playing in front of the smokes and expecting to get in front of the execute, which is a great idea if you don't feel comfortable letting the bomb go down, and also killing terrorists coming out of a choke point is one of the best opportunities to do so. That's why a lot of teams, when they counter nade executes, will throw them directly into places like T-Con because you can get the most AoE damage possible. But in that situation, Misfits are hitting all their first bullets. 3 headshots immediately, no trades in sight.
And already Luminosity have to deal with some economic despair. They're able to get that M4 and an ump to couple with it, but it's 3 pistols on top of that. And players all on top of these trains. Cello's within the bomb site. Yell ambiguous between green and that train stopper. But he's just posted up with the Deeg now. Long range of sight into the T-Con, where Emanek patiently waits. Now, one of the differences between this round and the last is that Misfits are coming in from Ivy as well, so that's going to pull the CTs in 2 separate directions. Shazam's trying to clear that Ivy wall through the smoke, as Sick has to be very vigilant of a flank. But the counter-terrorists have done a good job of at least staying standing. Down goes the first, the second then is next, and it's 3 quick kills from Misfits as they start to barrel in. Shazam finding a 4th, leaving Showtime all alone. He'd love to find 1 frag at least, but he's gonna find nothing. The entirety of Misfits stay standing at the end of this 4th round.
It's really good coordination on that round. I think one thing about this round that shows that's one of the most ideal ways to take a site is to push out of your choke points without having to use too many nades so that you're not vulnerable to counter nades. And then once you get out, you can really fight together and use your nades from there. So they had the utility to back up what was kind of a walkout or contact play. And on top of that, we're able to use their utility properly to flush players out of their spots. And now we have a stack from Luminosity with a bunch of USPs inside. Even our last man, Nekes, rotating in with a lot of Misfits coming this way as well.
They could be walking into dangerous territory. Showtime does deal damage, but it's PKL and Cello to find those frags, bomb included. It's going to drop to the wayside as all of a sudden Misfits have to reevaluate this push. Now, luckily for them, they've got all the time in the world. They still have some utility to play off of. They're going to try to use the man through Z to come in at this same time. Shazam does spot the player towards the side of Oil, able to catch his head. Neck is down, and so it's a single ump. Now removed, just Yell, and he too toppled. That's Misfits really bouncing back from what could have been a missed opportunity.
It seemed like Luminosity had a good idea that it was going to be an inside hit. What I wish they did differently is once it got to the 3v3, that they didn't get so obsessed with the bomb, and I think they really did anticipate somebody to go for a big flank as Misfits took their time in that situation. They didn't plan on re-execing. There were no clues to tell you that they might want to do that. And so if they had focused on killing who was ever going to come through Z or trying to flank that guy as they delayed inside, maybe they would have had a better chance. Ultimately, Misfits played it properly, slowly and composed, and made sure not to overreact by trying to immediately go out for the trades when it's already too late. Some of the worst things you can do.
Find Luminosity back into the buy, and an op now on the board, but it's weakened. Glass cannon is Yell. No grenades to go off of that, and very few grenades for the entirety of LG.
Love this Molotov to land on the outside of ladder. Saw this once yesterday.
Yeah, by the same team. Cello to the bottom of the ladder immediately dies. Sick actually doubling into this. So much fire, so much smoke just covering the entirety of the site, but Yell's still able to catch an angle amongst this. Devaduvic with 1 trade already, but now the sniper finds another as Misfits find the plant. So it's down to the man advantage, still to the T side, trying to lock this in with the after plant. But Showtime's going to try and pry back in himself. Sean Gares underneath the lip of that train. Spotted, he's dealt with. Now the T side split. Good kill from Yell. So Amanek goes down as well. The sniper from Yell finding 4 frags, one of which from above, and then the other 3 as the retake attempt comes through.
Sean Gares was the linchpin of that round, dying as he was creeping up the bomb site, and it was, great for Showtime that he was able to jump on the train and spot that opportunity, or if it was Yell actually, but we can see why Amanek decided to peek early in that situation, because they would have identified that likely the last player alive is going to be in ladder or T-Con, and usually they're in ladder, and that's usually what the bomb is planted for. So he figured, I have to go out now, otherwise somebody's going to stick the bomb, they're going to put the op on my peak, and I need to go out before they set up or make that decision or communicate it to each other, and that'll be my best opportunity to get a 1v1 and win the round. Trying
to find his window of opportunity, but instead it's Luminosity who find that tying round. Already Neck is able to catch Devaduvic down, and so we find Misfits to the back foot. Of course, Sick is creeping in here, has to be cautious as Neck is comfortable putting shots through that smoke, but Sick could find some timing here. Nekiz is still wary of this sort of a push, but at least now Sick has an angle towards ladder side, so he's effectively able to cut this bomb site in half, and if there's any movement from these CTs, he could find the opportunity to take this back into a 4v4.
When you do, oh, Neck is actually pushing for information. Kind of important that he does so. Sick's actually going to be pushing through this, using his smoke as well, but Yell is right there to support, just in the nick of time.
Now what's left of the Misfits have to just charge into the B site where Showtime removes one from the sky, sprays for the second, but Sean will take it. And it's on the cross that Shaz gets dropped. Sean, all that remains, and with 2 points of health, he's still able to find his bomb plant. So that's something for Misfits to walk away with, but Luminosity really starting to stabilize themselves, especially as they rob that second op.
Definitely a big deal. It was interesting what was going on at Ivy there, and for Sick to run out through that molly, but actually not even using that smoke to just extinguish the molly, but to use it as cover for him to push out the left side, I thought was a pretty interesting play. And by the way that he saw Nekas playing it, it made sense that he thought, okay, maybe there's not going to be support there just then. So I can understand what his decision-making was. Also, if he decided to just be a slave to that molly, stand behind it, wait around, then maybe he has no opportunity. Maybe he has to run all the way back through to T-Con, be a completely useless player, and at most, he would have made presence, which would be nice, but attempt to be more useful. I think there's a lot of merit in that.
Right now, those AWPs are split, 1 per bomb site. Nekiz has got himself up close and personal as another smoke does plume.
Again, the attention drawn to Ivy. Nekiz had some goosebumps on his neck, decided to throw a nade and fall off. Yell actually trading places with him, however, getting really aggressive. His teammate was here to support. This molly won't allow him to fall back too easily. That molly is doing too much damage. Devaduvic, great counter nade.
So Misfits are able to come out of that Ivy exchange on top with the 4v3. But they still have players to deal with. Luckily for Misfits, they've gotten themselves into a position where they can split this bomb site on 3 separate fronts once that fire fades. Smoke grenade creates a bit of questioning here for LG. Not sure if they've wrapped to old bomb or not. There's a player all the way over there trying to stop exactly that. Sick wants to come in here, catches the kill up close, and it's only PKL with something to work with, but he's gonna need 3 more. Spots Sean Gares, but never sees that flank coming. The spinal tap will take Misfits back to 4 apiece.
It's great that they identified Ivy as not a weakness, but just a really important point of contact, and have put a lot more pressure on it recently. And even with that last round, seeing that Sick could get up by himself, and now having 2 people go to take his place is causing a big problem for Luminosity. This is the time where they have to answer that back, and Misfits with a full buy have a much easier round to look forward to. This is a great opportunity where they can bait out utility a lot quicker than they'll expel it, and from there, they can do anything like a dry execute or simply a full one and not have to worry about counter nades. No mollies for anyone on Luminosity.
I've already seen those Molotovs being impactful, so they're not going to have that tool to play with this time around. I do like to see Nekiz getting even more aggressive than usual. We'd seen him behind the server box within the Ivy Hall. Now he's gone all the way past towards the dumpsters. So still applying this Ivy pressure, not trying to shy away from it, but at least changing things up, as he may have felt like he was being read already.
Yeah. And we can't see into the minds of his teammates here, but Cello, Yell, PKL, none of them have to turn around. They can all face forward and either be a fast rotate to enter, and we can see Yell boosting himself up in the C connector, but it's just so much peace of mind. And even the ability to focus like that, even when you know it's not Ivy, but here you can be sure, helps a lot when you have to deal with just the 2 choke points of T-Con and Ladder.
That would have been a great opening here for the Misfits had that aggression been punished, but Nekiz gets away for now. It's going to be on Sick to try and find an opening, as he is inside this B site, flashing his way through the smoke, and now he knows there's a man up close. That's showtime for the spray. 2 kills for LG already, make that a third. Sick's been able to find an opening towards the B site, but it's Amanek with the bomb on A. And now he's dead, so no time for Sick to play with this one. He's going to have to just move that AK forward into the next round, as we do find LG answering back already.
I actually think this is kind of a misplay from Sick, where he decided, I think was ordained with the duty to move down the lower ramp, cause a distraction inner, but he didn't do it quickly enough, and it felt like he was kind of playing for himself. So he was trying to stay alive, when in reality, I think his role there was to take an engagement, whether he feels like it's that favorable or not, just because the timing of the attack outside meant that his lurk means nothing if he dies outside at the same time that they go inside. He's meant to try to pull an extra rotate if possible, and I don't think he had his priorities straight.
Neck is going to reposition back to the server box. We'll have the support of Yell. Yell's going to spot that cross, trying to set up Shazam, who does get taken down. Great shot. And Yell's going to come back here, reposts on the angle. Might actually go hunting for this, seeing as Nekiz can swing out and try to find that trade. Seeing as Deviduvic's got the Tech 9, he's not bound for this world much longer. The Deagle of Amanek, coupled with the double AKs, make that only 1, as Yell finds a 3rd frag in this round. Giving a lot of space to the Opper here is Luminosity, and it's paying off in leaps and bounds. That's, again, all of these kills already.
Man, Yell is so fast. He peeked into a shoulder peek from Shazam and was able to kill him.
Amanek to lead the charge, seeing as he has the D, does some damage, but it's Sean to come in with the kill. And again, he's able to cross, could just try to prioritize the plant, but instead he wants the fight, and that'll cost him his life, as Luminosity now restabilize their lead.
We move into round 11. Luminosity are starting to get their feet on the ground, and even though it was just a last round, the round before, Misfits looked like they had control of things. At this point, Yell has really started to turn up. Ivy control is being paid attention to by both teams, which I really appreciate in this game as to some of the others that we've seen in the past. It's making it a lot more competitive and enjoyable to watch across the board. But it's going to be difficult if they're able to get away with that more often than not. 2 players inside. Molotov has the pin pulled on it. Showtime. He's going to take a fight in front of it, get 3.
No reason to shy away from that one. Even if he had died, he's got so many players to his backside. So instead, he just wants to close this out before it ever gets started. Amanek, in desperation, tries to find himself to the site, but PKL finds him through the smoke, and that's all she wrote. Done is the anti-eco. Misfits quickly quelled.
Really good play here. Simple stuff. All Misfits wanted was the ability to try to go inner. Typically when people throw that Molotov, they fall back a bit because they expect a team to run through it once they're spotted. And that's the idea. If we do see an op, like charge in, if we see a rifle, it's maybe more of a 50-50 whether we want to or not. In that situation, Showtime didn't see that threat and decided to peek behind it, which I think Misfits didn't expect.
Very aggressive opping here from Yell. He's swapped sides of the map. So really just looking to catch Misfits off guard, staying dynamic with his positioning, not just off of the opening frags, but also in his attempt to find that first kill. But Misfits are able to just force him back, so he's unable to do as he would wish.
It's really good when your Opper is on fire and they're very aggressive naturally. You don't want to put them on the leash. You want to let them get aggressive when they feel like they have a good intuition for where they're going to find that kill. It's just important that they don't die in the process, and Yell came close, getting very aggressive as a trade. Also got some information, however, and let Misfits know that he's feeling confident right now. These things will work against Misfits, and it's up to them to really shut him down.
And that couples nicely with the whole idea of just having a confident Opper in general. If they're not feeling it, then you can really see them struggle. But clearly, he wants those fights. He wants those opening picks. And again, this time he does not get it. Comparing this to the last time Nekiz locked down Ivy, you can see the questioning of the CTs on site. Not entirely sure where this push could come in from. So it's going to give Misfits the chance to just overwhelm the bomb site. PKL gets pulled back, deals some damage, and finds the frag to Devaduvic. Cello on high, chimes in with one of his own. Showtime able to catch another. So Misfits going from bad to worse, but at least able to respond with something. 10 seconds to the clock, and they're in the 2v2. The health is so damn low. The bomb plant...
I don't think he has it. Oh, Luminosity 1, he doesn't have it. And that's as close to 4 seconds as you can possibly get, but because of the animation... So the bomb actually takes less than 4 seconds to plant, but you have to factor in the animation. There's no way that you can do it unless you see 4 seconds on the clock, and that was definitely very, very, very close.
Yesterday we saw Misfits lose a round on Mirage because they collapsed into the A bomb site with not enough time left over. Another one of those instances. I mean, on a theoretical level, that looked great. They're able to push into the site, and the only problem was that Luminosity had kind of turtled up on the bomb site. And though they had to clear out every single player, which is a process that took enough time for them to close the round. Nekiz knows that the man's to the right side thanks to the utility, so he forces the fight, expecting to catch him with his gun gone. And that's exactly what happens. Now Sick is caught on his attempt to cross. That's Cello with another kill, and that's Luminosity with another man advantage.
Yell needed to smoke that molly. Devaduvic threw that exact same molly in response to Nekiz staying behind that box in a previous round. So now we have actually just an outside take right away. PKL, nice headshot.
That double op setup paying off already. Putting Misfits in the grave. Down to the 2v4, but they've been able to swing it back ever slightly. Aminex, all that's left here. And he gets dropped at a distance. Yell, he's already scoped in, waits for the peek, and catches it on the head. So, Luminosity, 5 consecutive rounds and a 5-point lead.
It's been 5 in a row, but it has been very good attempts by Misfits, and the way they're utilizing Ivy. Like on that previous round where they ran out of time and they made it all the way through, they had to make that giant rotation back from brown halls after they showed the bomb. Yell took that damage from opping them, and I think that's what played into the fact that Ivy worked so well. But because they had to walk all the way back, it really took so much time off the clock, they weren't able to get away with the strategy. But the idea made sense, and in execution, if they were just 10 seconds earlier, they probably would have won. So I think they should continue to do what they've been doing. The issue for now is that they aren't buying here. They've got their 5 smoke strategy, which I think they smoke down the ramp as well, and then they go and try to plant outside.
One of those moments where they just use the smoke grenade to try and keep Luminosity at that B bomb site. We've actually seen them use this play and then throw players down the ramp to really try and sell the fake. But this time, it's a different variation. They're going to commit to the B site with the wall on A, but there's a wall on B as well in the name of Showtime as he locks down the site with 3 quick kills and leaves PKL to find that 4th. Devaduvic needs to find the bomb, but by the time he gets it, he's got all of these players breathing down his neck. And so he's pinned in. No chance in hell to escape without a fight. Does go for the cross, and it costs him. Nekiz catches the kill, and Luminosity find those double digits.
So there are a couple things here. Number one, we see that there was no smoke here to hide Showtime, or to stop him from being able to have an open shot on people running down the ramp. And Misfits opted not to throw it, probably to avoid being telegraphed. But obviously, if a player is sitting there back pop, he has too easy of a round to kind of justify it. And with 5 smokes, I think I'm not sure how in tune with Misfits' strategy Luminosity are, but if they had thrown a strategy where they smoke outside and inner at the same time before, but go outside, if they use that same strategy but go inner, it works just as well. On an eco round, however, very incredibly difficult to get people to rotate everyone out. You should not really move until you see that bomb.
Showtime's changing up the pace here as he gets aggressive instead. His life is valuable towards this B site, seeing as he has no support whatsoever, but as Nekez starts to push onto Ivy and clear out these corners, they might feel as though they can give up a little defense towards A.
Again, Nekez let him know that he was there because he had the intention of falling off. One of the reasons he threw the Molotov. It's like, here is more presence. Here's, you know, I have this information, Ivy. Come get it if you want, but you're going to have to kill time and clear stuff because I was just there, so you've got to worry about me. It's actually forcing them to be smart is a way of killing time.
And it's with that information that they do move PKL towards the B site, so Showtime has the support of an Opper who will linger towards Connector. But it's Misfits who begin to linger towards this B site. They're not leaving themselves much wiggle room off the clock, so here comes the charge. Immediately down into the bomb site, Sick gets caught by Showtime, but it is traded out, so not half bad. Amanek going high, does not find PKL, but he misses a shot, and that's a big opportunity now for Misfits. They know where he is. That bomb's already been planted. Smoke grenades giving temporary cover to all. Amanek gets just underneath the bottom of the ladder. He is doubled down here with Devadubic, the Frenchman on the front line. But here comes LG with 2 quick kills and 1 man now left standing. That's Cello. He's already got himself to the bomb site, so he's behind them and he's gonna get on this device. Holds it, here's the feet, finds Shazam, but doesn't kill him yet. Goes aggressive, and it costs him, as Misfits are able to find 5.
Now we look at some of the highlights from this half. It's been a pretty crazy one at that, and thankfully for Misfits, they're able to find their footing and get that last round.
Pretty textbook half here at the 5-10 score. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL Pro League in order to find out who walks away with this win. We'll see you in a bit.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, the City of Odense, GeForce GTX, Lenovo Legion, Bedway, Pay Safeguard, Logitech G, Mountain Dew League, Xfinity, and ESEA.
And so Luminosity currently hold double the score of Misfits. After Misfits T-side on train, we saw them off to a great start, finding 3 of those first 5 rounds, and all of which being gun rounds with the early buy. But then, of course, there was that hard reset in the 7th round, and 6 consecutive from LG. Misfits able to secure that final 15th round, but again, that leaves them only with 5. So they're definitely going to have to stabilize themselves on this CT half, and a pistol would certainly help that process.
Misfits are a slow-playing team, and we saw that come into effect when they had to make giant rotations from inside to outside, especially with their attention to Ivy, which is great. I think that they're paying attention to it. They probably would have been lost for a lot more rounds without it. Wow, Showtime actually had 136 ADR in that one half. And that was from inside, so he was causing a huge problem for them. And that's your value of your inner player, because this is a site that's most often played with just one person, and it's actually one of the bigger B sites. So B typically indicates a smaller site with less choke points to enter it, but it's incredibly difficult to watch lower ramp and upper as one person and do it effectively. So fantastic showing from him. But Yeah, in the rounds that Misfits did win, they did a lot of good stuff. And honestly, if they had won that round where the time ran out, potential for a save from Luminosity, which would have been a big win as well. And now have to work back on CT side, which is kind of where Shazam shone in that previous map. So maybe there's some more of that left in the tank.
No utility, no kit for the Misfits, but an early Ivy push. This is going to allow for them to now put a third man on the B site. Sean can't help but feel like he does sense this threat.
It's going to be very soon that everyone just rotates in. It's funny that they're actually moving back because with all this information, they have the opportunity to just kind of group up and get in their face.
Just going to try to fire off on the ramp, but Nekis is able to just charge in. Two very quick headshots from Misfits, though. As the bomb goes down, they've at least put themselves in a prime spot for the retake. Shazam's flank arrives, and it's a very quick kill off of him. Meanwhile, the bomb site's cleared out, so the last man's Yell. They know exactly where he is. He's tagged up already, and now he is dead. Misfits able to kick off the defense with an early pistol win.
It's actually quite interesting that initially they start off by playing Inner very aggressively, and it's Sean Garrett that falls back to Z with his 3 teammates. I think the only thing that changed really was that they were in a better position to catch players crossing into the site as opposed to 4 seconds later when the bomb's down and they're kind of sitting behind trains, making sure not to peek Z. So in that time, they were able to find 2 headshots very quickly, which was incredibly important. And obviously having Shazam on the big flank is a kind of a bonus effect. But the information initially is what allowed them to be very confident, I think, in their shooting.
Those 2 quick kills were very similar to those of Showtime on the opening pistol, just playing the backside of connector, using the train to have that advantage and composing yourself with the pistol. But it's going to be only pistols for LG because they're at least able to get the bomb plant in. 6 able to find 2 frags, but Cello will drop him, and Yell attempts to hold the ladder, but he's not well equipped for that. Cello has a FAMAS, and he's got players pushing into him. Shazam, first and foremost, does go down. So all of a sudden, we've got a costly round. But Devadovic puts an end to that. He's had enough. The M4 at a distance asserts itself, and Misfits do take 7.
There's always the benefit of making the other team have to buy up in full in each player, but then there's also the more important priority, and that is to get the bomb down. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do that, and they do lose everybody not to be able to recycle the FAMAS. Either way, they're going to be able to buy up 4 smokes on the board, single Molotov, bunch of flashes, and head armor for everybody. So not so bad if you're Luminosity, getting right into the thick of things early on. We're starting off for Misfits with IV control. Love this.
Luminosity yet to push out of T-Con, but certainly putting themselves in it. Keeping a player passively per extremity. Just watching the top of ladder, watching the push on Ivy, but that's where Devadovic at least puts himself in a forward spot. Starts to rotate towards the bomb site, and he sees that barrel. Yell definitely knows Sean's here. Now he knows where there's 2, so preemptively trying to read into this peak, but Sean's just going to hold his spot. Meanwhile, Devadovic posts up, and PKL moves the man off Zed. Neck is able to find another kill. It's the next Frenchman down. Finding a lot of kills here is the T side, but they're taking damage back. Sean's able to stop it with 2, but now he's all that's left. And he's going to need the ace clutch. 1 player lit, and that's the one that takes him. Neck is able to clear out most of the Misfits and put Luminosity back on the board.
Yeah, extremely well played. It's kind of surprising that Misfits ended up losing because of just how well set up they were, forcing the 2 choke points to come out. But also, I think Luminosity had a lot of information there that wasn't properly communicated to Cello. So Cello came down ladder late, but they knew that Sean was watching ladder. So they know that no one's inside ladder because why would he be watching that choke point so dedicatedly? And not able to capitalize in that situation. Still managed to win. And I think it was just because they were very careful. And Misfits, I think, probably could have counter-naded more, but they didn't really feel like an execute was coming, which worked well in Luminosity's favor.
Sidearm finds one up close. Yell's able to trade this. Of course, it was a very fast clash from Misfits as they just charged into the box halls. This is given a chance now for Sick to retrieve the UMP. And he is still to the top side of ladder room. Fortunately for Shazam, he's getting pincered upon. And Sick comes in to bail him out. Able to swap to the AK as Shaz finds another frag, so it's all on Showtime, 1v2. And he knows where they both are, so he needs to section this out. Able to cross is Sick. Shaz gets lit. Sick takes the kill. Misfits bounce back quite quickly.
Yeah, it was a close call. I don't even know how it was that Misfits were even able to win that round after Luminosity just worked their way outside, and Misfits had 3 pistols, but the kills went their way. We move forward into round 19. Round 20.
Good math.
Good math. And Luminosity dead broke. Absolutely no utility whatsoever. Just Glocks, 1 Deagle, 1 P250.
The players all across the map here, so just hoping to keep Misfits spread thin, that they can enforce themselves with the bomb plant. Of course, Neck is just going to creep his way out, but Shazam's able to catch his head already. Bomb still not spotted, but Yell's cross is locked in. There it comes, and there it goes, as Sick's able to catch both frags on the bomb site. Almost looked like he was going to miss it, but he's able to spray. As Sean Gers finds the last man, it's only 1 frag here for LG, and a quick round for the Misfits.
Sick, another poor victim of 4-3, but makes up for it with his insane reactions, obviously. And good awareness here to realize that the bomb is going to get dropped into the site. Now we move forward into another full rifle round. No pistol threats, so hopefully it'll be some more standard action.
Cello flashing for up close, but it's the 2 CTs on the top side. Nekiz goes charging in. Gets pushed back. So now all of a sudden Luminosity, they need to split into the A site because they've lost that B play early on. Luckily for them, they do still have the time to play off of this, but Misfits trying to get ahead of that A split just immediately move their pawns back. Seeing as the bomb's yet to be picked up here, I don't think we're going to find LG just rushing themselves into the execution.
Yeah, man down right now, minute left. They're deciding to make a play. 2 players here at Ivy and flashes to help out as well. Great one. 4 seconds in total, probably. They were just blind.
Now Yell is posted back up, hoping that a CT really oversteps that boundary, but instead he's going to smoke this off. And that now creates a question mark. Sean Gers falls back to the side of the hall, is very patient in his position. Aminek's able to get up close on T-Con, could catch a kill, but he gives himself for free. PKL finds his side as he was distracted towards the E-box, and now Yell's gotten onto the site. Time is going to be an issue, though. 20 seconds left. Yell catches the man on the smoke. That's Shaz, who is able to find one, but then gets dropped. Great op shot, connects yet again. This is all Yell. He needs to cover the bomb, but he can't, as Six stops it in the process. And now Yell needs these frags, but with no time left over, he just needs to hide and ensure that he doesn't die.
And that's just it. He's fine. He keeps the op, and it looked like he was having quite a round. Even though he lost his teammate in Ivy, he made his way up and got 2 kills. And it seemed like Luminosity should have certainly won that round after a bit of a mishap from Misfits, as they got smoked out of Z and had 3 people in that connector. Shazam pushing out early, getting that kill on Cello was key. It was very fortunate for that to happen. And again, standout performance from Yell, but not enough.
Starting to get a bit of our game on our hands here. Is that hard reset in this 3rd round certainly hurting LG.
Once again, that player pushing up the ladder gets punched immediately.
Yeah, great play by the op. I can't help but feel like when you only have that 1 gun, you want to make an early play. He does exactly that. Opens up an opportunity here. I'm sure they'd expect the Misfits to split, but instead it's just Sick on this B bomb site, and now we find the Misfits just wanting to rotate off of this. They're going to boost a man to the top of the ticket, put Shazam back on site, but Deviduvic's looking to secure B. He loses his teammate towards the site itself, does catch one on the cross, but that's still going to be the bomb in. And the Molotov forces him into the open. That's where Nekaz catches another kill, and MNX able to trade. Still the 2v3, and those flames have done a significant bit of damage. T-side just reeling backwards here, able to hold on to the bomb site and distract Amanek for now. PKL gets ripped up close. There's the trade back, and it's down to the 1v1 with the Opper who started this round off, who's going to be up close. Amanek jumps, and he'll take the kill. He'll take the round as he has plenty of time for the defuse. Misfits tie things up at 11 apiece.
Yeah, played that really nice. Capitalized on the tap. Yell looked like he had him in that situation, considering he was about to go back to upper and call out that fake defuse. Amanek here dealing with Nekaz, who I think pre-fired Z after getting that first kill, and that was really big. It seemed like a great entry into the site. Kello was able to P250 our man at Spool, that was probably sick, who likes to play there very often.
Yep.
Punish that immediately, and you know, I thought at first, fortunate to get a plant, fortunate to get the opening kill, but we saw that early rotation for Misfits. There's no way they're going to get away with that. 3 rounds in a row. I think Sean gets killed trying to get the ladder, and I think they're putting way too much stock in their flashes.
Flashbang goes amiss. Showtime's able to punish that push. Deva Duvik down. Meanwhile, 2 CTs rotate over towards B, just trying to get ahead of that presence, but that's going to leave Shazam all alone. A massive train yard with many entries. You can see his attention being peeled in all sorts of directions, but I like this play from Misfits, getting themselves to the top side of the box halls. So now if it is the A side execution, they can come in off of ladder. As opposed to just waiting on a bomb site, they're playing very actively.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for them, Luminosity are actually holding in their default. I don't think they're starting to set up yet. Yeah, so Cello might be ready for this. Will he expect a second man to come? Yep, he does, but he gets... It's actually sick to get the better of him. 2v3 now, they know where 1 CT is. They still have 3 up. Shazam's outside in an unknown position. Picking a very awkward spot could be good for him.
He's able to drop the bomb, sick with heavy impact, and now Shaz catches the back of Yell. He's down. Showtime also removed as Misfits swing that round back to their favor.
3v5, and that's why you got to make a play. They found the correct site to push. They didn't go fast enough to punish the fact that Shazam was actually the only man alive left outside. And Misfits didn't give him any tells. There's no reason for them to assume that. But really good stuff. The double push going 1 for 1, you think, okay, that was okay, but now the information's given up. There's no way that they're going to be able to win. And then he gets down ladder, finds another kill, and it's a whole different round.
That's what's wild to me, is that we see 2 of those players push. When there's only 3 guys left, they go up to the top side of ladder, they're able to effectively trade out, and yet LG still try to cross out from T-Con. I mean, I can't help but feel like you'd assume there could be a player there. And they're not able to trade him back after that because they peek out 1v1.
And part of the reason, is that 1 for 1 push doesn't seem like it's that big a deal because they now know where that guy's coming from. And so this powerful ladder position is compromised, but they didn't really worry about him. And it was probably partly due to the fact that Shazam was at Sandwich, and so they had this threat on both sides, but they had to come through T-Con. That made things a little bit more complicated. Maybe they thought he was going to play more passively, but no, they were still in playmaking mode because they're still down a man. So a bit of a misplay there from Luminosity. Good idea, good concept from Misfits, and just a standard play from behind strategy that they employed that ended up working out really well.
Now, of course, we saw that spree of 6 victories on LG's CT side. All of a sudden, we've got Misfits currently sitting on 5. And they have won 7 of the 8 rounds thus far in this half. So getting themselves back into the lead, giving themselves a chance to further that. But it is going to be the buy from the Brazilians, and a very fast play into the B site. Sick at a distance, able to catch 2 headshots already. Bomb included, dropped in the process, so Misfits rotate over. It's going to get smoked off as the terrorists try to retrieve it, and they will. He chucks it back, but that's now made it drop yet once more, and they're just stuck there. Sick. Executes another. PKL is able to grab the bomb in the end, but as he retreats, Sean Gers knows it and actually takes some damage in return. So now it's up to LG to play off the man disadvantage.
Throwing the bomb into the molly and then not throwing it at the correct angle, having to go back and pick it up in his own fire. And now they're actually in a much better position that they've recovered it. So a martyr for this round maybe, but we'll soon find out if that meant anything. What's more curious is that they get out inner with 2 people. Nobody else is in a position to come out with them. Those 2 players die for no reason, and they're put in such an awkward position at a critical moment in the game. Now, as we can see with the setup, Sean is actually playing inner far back with low HP and no op. So this is the correct site to go to with 25 seconds left.
I do like that those other counter-terrorists are to the back halls, though. It's going to allow for them to rotate through CT spawn and hold the back of site, if even need be. Sean is able to drop 1, bomb included, but it's picked up in time. And Showtime himself will find this plant. Now he needs the 1v2. Knows that Amanek's already coming in from here, but he's so wary of the flank. Now he knows where they're both at. His back is cleared, but his front is at risk. And so he tries to force the fight. He finds the first, and now Shazam's up close. He's got the fire to burn him into the open. Goes up high to catch the angle, but down he goes. Shazam able to find it as Misfits take 13.
Shazam hits him with a really good read in that 1v1. A round that should not have gotten as ugly as it did. Amanek probably should have straight up won that duel, but so much pressure on him and that op to be able to get those kills. These are the 2 headshots we saw on the entry, or versus the entry, that should have denoted the round being won straight up for Misfits. The bomb being here. Sick getting a 3rd kill on the player coming down the ramp that had to recover it. PKL with that trade gave them hope, but a little bit too close for comfort. If Shazam didn't have such a great read, we'd be tied up.
At least we're tied in the form of weaponry. Everybody on the buy, but Misfits getting aggressive into T-Con. PKL feels that threat, so he just falls back from it. Not looking to forfeit the man advantage already. Shazam's forced to forfeit Ivy at the moment. He does go back into the peak, and that costs him 3/4 of his health. Almost dies for that one.
Very defaulty situation. A lot of nades have been used. Not as much money to spend. Shazam's low, but since he has that op, he'll still be able to probably get a shot off before dying. IV control being played with right now for the Ts. CTs are going to be alerted to this. Fire and smoke coming over the box.
CTs do still hold 4 players to the A site.
Luminosity with 3 people grouping up to hit this. We can see the bomb stationed up by ladder. Almost certainly will drop down, but might be alone if Nekas is meant to sell some kind of fake. 25 seconds remain, and it looks like maybe they're going to go for an inner split.
Very awkward here for Misfits as they have to reposition amongst this, but it's going to be the long con all the way back to the B site. Shazam just misses the timing, but Sean comes in with a trade. That's 3 quick kills for the Misfits, mirrored back by LG, who will take the plant. Devaduvic wants to close that gap, get up close as fast as he can, but Cello's got a gun back in hand, and Devaduvic takes him down. So Showtime responds with one of his own, but he's on the opposite side, and Devaduvic taps it once, only to be executed by Showtime. Luminosity able to bounce it back, but with only 1 man standing.
Very nice. Misfits realized that it was going to be some type of inner hit and had that rotation in Shazam, completely watching CT for as soon as he unscopes and turns around, gets punished for it. Showtime, the 1v2, very nice shots being hit right there. And an Ivy split and a strategy where the other team knows what you're doing can still work as long as you trade properly, and that's what we saw in that round. So unfortunately for Misfits, that means that now that they're on a save, they have to give up this numerical round lead that they have. But and Luminosity have the opportunity to build their economy here.
Misfits coming off of a 6-round win spree, immediately put down to the pistol after losing only 1. They've already lost Sick as well. Devaduvic next in line, and now it's just a slaughterhouse. Both of the players for Misfits still standing on the site, but PKL, well, he makes quick work of the first. Second, still standing. That's Amanek with a headshot, but nothing after that. Look at the damage they did.
Yeah, Showtime, the only one with full HP, ends up getting 1 deke. Funnily enough. 13-13 your score line. A bye doesn't seem like it's potentially not on the docket for the Misfits. 36 and 34 between 2 players here. Not sure if they're going to invest And it looks like, yeah, they've decided to buy 2 UMPs, and I think it makes sense that they wouldn't they've gotten a marginally better buyout next round, so to invest here and hemorrhage the bleeding seems reasonable enough.
See if Shazam can still find impact with his AWP despite not having armor.
Curious about how much money Nekas has. He could have upgraded if he wants to, but here we have mostly enough that with 1 round loss, they could put together another buy if they had to at 14, which would be wonderful for them. So the UMP will be his weapon of choice here.
He's put himself in a decent spot for this. There's 2 players around that corner. Devadubic mirrors his ump. That bomb's starting to get closer to the top of ladder, and the rest of Luminosity getting closer towards B. I'm sure they won't want to execute without clearing that, though.
Certainly Showtime is just offering up a flash in that situation. Wow, they are making no noise whatsoever, but will be executing with this lower ramp in danger. Upper is a great spot to hold from, but it's not going to be the end of the round for them if they don't clear it.
See how this double man stack pans out. Devadubic pulls the trigger early on, and it could cost him. He's gone down. Six able to stop at least one, but he too toppled as Sean's rotations quelled, and that takes it down to the 4v2. Bomb in, and Luminosity in a prime spot to win. They will. Already the save's been called. Misfits in a very interesting position to try and stop that, but all the gun duels go the way of the Brazilians, and so this round will as well.
We're seeing they're already starting to get very frisky here, because if they do get these last 2 kills, that could be almost the end of the match for Misfits. Very important that they do get the op out of Shazam's hands. Any chance of them losing an eco round could come from that. So for Aminex was to pitches in, gets a kill, and because of that op, I mean, I guess they're a little bit too afraid of not having a lot of money themselves, and now we'll just play against 2 rifles. Will Misfits buy? I don't think so. They have an op, however, maybe not an opportunity they'll have next round if they want a full buy, and they'll have to sacrifice this one, but not only sacrifice it from themselves, give it over to the other hands, or to the hands of their opponents. Actually, Yell's got his own. Yeah, it's not the biggest concern, but they still have decided to buy behind it. Another 2 UMPs, and the setup was interesting. They decided to have them play together, inner and upper, and hope that it was going to be a hit, just like they faced, but the guns weren't great enough to get multi-kills.
Already PKL's able to catch the headshot early on. Luminosity yet again with the advantage, but where do they go from here? Because Misfits are starting to stack up that A site, or at least pulling Sick away from B. But now we find Aminek going back to the B site.
Still have Showtime here at Ivy. They have that 5v4, which is huge. The CTs are thinned out, meaning they know that inner is likely only going to be played with 1 player. Sick has been good here. Whoa.
He's gonna get burned out. He's still got that UMP. He actually gets up close to the site. There's an opera in his face, and he sprays for both. That's a big play from Sick, and we're down to the 3v3. Aminek's able to arrive, but that's bomb in the control of Misfits. Now they've lost the man. Sean makes some noise, and Showtime's on his backside, but now he's got the kill, and it's back to the 2v2. Sick with an op, spinal taps Cello, and leaves it all on Nekas. He made big plays yesterday versus SK, but now he needs to do it yet again, and he's got a route to the A site, but it gets blocked off. It's Sean up close with the kill, and Misfits tie at 14 apiece.
Damn, what an insane play from Sick. You think he does really well every round they go inside. This round, they throw mollies down A ramp, and he's peeking it with a USB, and then picks up this push on the ramp. Wow, I didn't expect that at all. Wow, nice stuff. That was really cool.
When he gets caught with a USP, I'm thinking that bomb site's crumbled, that's going to be this big criticizable moment, but I mean, he makes up for it. They never saw that push coming, and it's a massive play. Gives him the op, he gets aggressive and cuts it down to the 1v2. Solid play on that B bomb site. And now the pressure's on. He's up aggressive yet again. Fires off and then falls back. And we find Luminosity, 2 players per extremity. Bomb lingering outside T-Con.
Tilt-inducing round as Luminosity had everything going for them. 1 player inside the 5v4, straight up hit, and then 1 man takes the round into his own hands. Beauty of Counter-Strike always shines. Same default as we've seen before, but last round, obviously, it was PTAL to find that kill on Shazam, the Opera no less, without losing any HP in T-Con. That's not looking like it's going to happen now. Will they fall back on an execute? Will they get aggressive at Ivy? They do have options. They've won rounds in very different ways on T side, so playbook is deep. And right now, Ivy is a little weak as well. Number 7 man Devo Duvak watching it almost passively from Hell.
Another one of those moments where the A-site players are going to get peeled in separate directions. And that could ultimately cost them, but so could this clock. Devaduvic executes the first, shuts Showtime down, and then he wants to force the fight, but it's a ladder drop punished by Sean. Neck is executed up close. Shazam with an op shot to connect, takes it back, but he too down for the count as it's a 2-on-2 yet again. But time is the issue, and there will be no plant. That's Misfits in OT.
Oh my God, Misfits actually get the 15th. Can you believe that? There was an opportunity there to put the bomb down, and he needed to do it. There was no time left to sell some kind of fake, a complete misstep there in this situation. Also, as Shazam jumps up on the site, you think, all right, bomb's actually going to go down. This is going to be an after-plant situation, but unaware of how much time on the clock he had left.
Luminosity's going to have to make this last buy work, or Misfits have robbed them blind. Speaking of which, Neck gets slowed down over on the box halls. Sean Gares is going to assume an up-close position yet again. Difference is he's got Amanek to help him out.
Nekas also was a little bit impatient at ladder, thinking he could run down and run out into the site. Obviously wanted to help his teammates out, but if he had just had his gun out, probably would have had more time. Gave himself a chance versus Sean. And now what's the strategy? Kind of a stalemate here. If ladder control does get taken, they will be unpleasantly surprised by a couple of CTs.
Neck is already starting to prime his smoke. Cello still watches for the push, but Misfits aren't going to get aggressive this time around.
They're going to do their inner split, I think.
Duvic's watching T's cross. Not that he knows it. They're going to get complicated, but Shazam hears this coming. He's able to throw down the flash, stops the first, and sprays for 3! All of them shut down, and Sick towards the site takes the next 2. Everyone on Misfits does their job, and they walk away with their win.
Beast mode. Another round. This time, Shazam gets his revenge. The inner split that caught him off guard in rounds previous. He hits 3. And then Sick, one more time, just to close out the game, ends up holding inner with another 2K.
A highway robbery, Launders. The last 3 rounds of the game, the moment that we see LG secure 14, it's ripped from their hands. The Misfits walk away with the opening map, but a very close score at that. I mean, coming into this, obviously our analysts discuss how Train was going to be Misfits' map to win, and it almost looked like LG were going to rob that. But the boys on the desk were correct, and that's now where we're going to throw things over to the Xfinity analyst desk.
Thank you, Scrawny. Nice job, boys, with the opening game. Yes, the first half was really tough for Misfits. It was looking dire, just able to squeak out 5 rounds on the 15th of the first half and then run away with it in the second half. Very nice defense from them. You have to say, a lot of that felt like the inner bomb site defense kind of bailed them out in the end. Sick with some big plays. Shazam had a couple very good rotations as well. Great performance from Misfits.
I mean, Sick, like you can tell when a person's on fire, the confidence, the movement. He was just hopping in, hopping out, just peeking at angles, and always seems like escape just a little bit, you know? It's a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah, confidence and movement. That's what initially attracted me to you.
Oh,
it's the way you swing your hips, honestly.
You know, once I like to do that from time to time, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, I love those kind of matches where each team wins a pistol round, right? It's not like both team, like one team wins both, and then they have a huge advantage. I think that was it's a 16-14 quintessential match right there.
We have a lot of replays of Misfits to go over. I know that. I want to touch on Luminosity really quick before we get into that because it's going to be a lot of time on Misfits. I mean, a pretty strong performance out of them. What's up with Brazilian teams loving double op setups? I mean, these guys were killer with it on the defense. Misfits didn't seem to have an answer for it.
Yeah, I guess as you see it on this round, Misfits did have two, or not two ops, but they kind of had a smoke execute outside, kind of patented, Sean Garrett's kind of strat. And what was so nice is the movement. How with Misfits, instead of pushing up in the lanes and kind of moving around, they all moved in one towards E-Box, and then just kind of took out each Luminosity player. It was a pretty nice routes. I like to look at routes as teams as they execute like a smoke strat, and it was pretty on point for Misfits.
Well, here's a small criticism because we talked a lot about Sick and his performance towards that inner bomb side. This is him on the T side, and I know, James, you had a couple points to make about this round.
Yeah, so there was actually 2 huge rounds on Misfits' first half where Sick has a lurk on the opposite side of the map, and he actually gets very advanced positions. This is one of them. So he makes it down the lower ramp onto sidewalk, and he's unseen, right? I think Launders was talking about how it's really hard to watch both openings. So right here, I don't know what the comms were, but he seems to get a little hasty, right? It might have been like, hey, man, we need you to make a play inside so we can go do something outside. But it's like, I think like the first half of his lurks are really effective, but I think he needs to maybe rethink the second half and how he's going to go about doing it.
Okay.
I think not tossing that FB right there.
Yeah,
kind
seems
of
like
gave away his position,
Right? Like, think if he had just sat there and waited for the smoke to dissipate, and then he's like, oh, it's outside. So Showtime runs with his back to sidewalk. He gets the kill, and he flanks Z. I mean...
Yeah, and here's a little bit of the maybe the brains of Sean Garrett. You guys pointed out this is a little bit of an indication of Misfits adapting to Luminosity.
So what I liked about this is that Luminosity, they were playing 2 Ivy a lot of the C2 rounds, and right now what Misfits was, they kind of put a little pressure inside, and it caused Luminosity kind of rotate more towards Z bomb train, and Sean Garrett is kind of like anticipated that, so they lurked all the way by the Ivy side, and Launders was talking about maybe if they kind of went a little quicker, had 10-15 more seconds in the round to take this bomb site, they would actually had the bomb plant and possibly win the round. Whereas as you see that as they're taking Ivy, the time is running down, and it just works kind of against them at this point. They do end up losing that round, but it's a nice play, nice call by Sean Garrett.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of that, and I mean, obviously, this was a hard-fought win for Misfits, very close, obviously, almost into overtime, but they had to grind some rounds out. Especially there's a 3v5 round. I think you guys wanted to highlight as well from Misfits, where this is just one of those rounds you have to struggle, and these are the rounds that are backbreaking for Luminosity when they look back on this match.
Yeah, I mean, Luminosity, I want to say, is a decent approach here. It's just the trades went in favor of Misfits. They do the double walk push in the upper box halls. And I think the first contact is the 2 Ts that are watching for the push above ladder. Maybe they just got lulled to sleep. You know how it kind of is? Yeah. You're staring at an angle.
For a long time.
Maybe they have to implement that Stewie thing, where he like flicks his mouse around as he's like holding an angle. I love that, by the way. It actually is really effective, right? See, he's right here. He's kind of falling asleep. Gets that kill, but this guy trades it. And then they end up winning the round. That was a massive round. It was 11-all right there.
And I mean, those are just as we talked about the importance of winning your anti-ecos, your anti-force buys, whatever it might be against pistols. Also, when you have a 5-on-3 advantage, you have to win those massively advantaged rounds. So good play from Misfits down the stretch for sure. Going into the next map, Luminosity, we still think they're looking pretty solid. We're still, pretty big fans of their ability to compete here. I mean, yeah, it's supposed to be their map, right? That's kind of
it's their pick, so I'm kind of interested to see what they're going to do on the map with 2 new players and how they're going to avoid Shazam, who, I mean, he wasn't the top person in that match, but he's up there with Sick, and you always got to be cautious about Shazam's op, like how are we going to smoke him out, how are we going to either avoid him or even maybe have the opposite mentality by going after the snake, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Going after the snake.
Yeah, don't be afraid of it, right? Let's go right at it, take it out of the round early. And I mean, obviously, LG has an amazing opera and Yell himself, so.
And he had a good first game as well.
We saw some sick shots from him.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that carries into the next map. We're going to go to a quick break, but when we return, it will be cash between these 2 teams. Misfits takes the first one. Luminosy's going to try and even things out on the day. Stay tuned.